Good afternoon and welcome into the Action 2 News newsroom. My name is Brittany Schmidt and we've been following the pedal to the draft since the ceremonial football arrived by ferry in Milwaukee this morning. We brought you that live on Action 2 News and then on our streaming services and our website around 11:45 when they had a press conference, and I'm going to show you a little bit about that video. If you weren't able to join us earlier, here's a chance for you to catch up on what we're talking about today. There you see the ferry arriving from Michigan to Milwaukee to hand off the ceremonial football. It was delivered this morning around 11:45. It finally arrived there, as you see it about to dock there on that pier. A little history for you. Early NFL teams were located in Milwaukee, Racine, and Kenosha, and so there you see the bikers getting off the ferry, and then you see Governor Tony Evers there with that ceremonial football in hand. He's got a tight grasp on it. During the press conference this morning, he talked about how there's not a chance we're going to fumble this here back home in Titletown. And so those bikers are already on their path, and I'll walk you through a little bit about where they are right now as we wait for them to make their way here to Titletown for the big unveiling of the clock at the Lambeau Field atrium. That's supposed to be around 6:30 tonight. So it's all planned out as long as the bikers make good time from Milwaukee to northeast Wisconsin. And it's about a 140-mile trek according to Google Maps if they're serving me right. So we'll follow along as they go. There you see a close-up of the ball there. And we do know that some of the bikers on the trail right now are from our area. Peter and Tracy Fluke are two of those cyclists that are well on their way heading north. They're carrying that football on a tandem bike to the final destination here. We talked to them last week a little bit about the excitement of being part of something like this, and I want to bring some of that to you.
Play a little bit of a role in welcoming the draft to Wisconsin and to Green Bay, and we get to do it with something that's near and dear to our heart, which is bicycling. It really just doesn't get much better than that.
Doesn't get much better than that. And so throughout the draft, obviously we're really focusing on bicycling in Wisconsin, the trail system that's already set up, really connecting people to nature. And here you see some setting up and preparations of them making their way north a little bit more, and then we'll tell you more about the final leg later. So let me show you where they started off. So we've created some fancy maps here that I want to show you a little bit. All right, so there we are. The football arrived at the Lake Express Ferry. That happened around 11:45. So then they had some pit stops. They stopped at the Summerfest ground around 1 o'clock. We all know Summerfest. Can you believe it's only 36 days till Summerfest already? And that is a very large music festival. It's an annual festival, rich in history, which, no surprise, Packers wanted to highlight that, as Packers are really rich in history, and they have all different music at that event. So they made a little pit stop there around 1 p.m., so about an hour ago. Then they already were on to their next hit. So then they went to the Milwaukee Art Museum there, so that's about a 10-minute ride. So the Milwaukee Art Museum collects and preserves art, 30,000 works of art. They get about 400,000 visitors a year, and they've had about 125 years of collecting art. So again, really rich in that history. And during the press conference this morning, they really talked about how this is really to highlight the state and all that it has to offer, because they're expecting hundreds of thousands of fans to come into Wisconsin for the draft. And unfortunately, because of the size of Green Bay, not everybody's going to be able to stay in downtown Green Bay. And Packers CEO and President Mark Murphy talked a little bit about that this morning, how we just don't have enough room for everybody. So a lot of other communities are going to have to step up and help house some of those fans coming into our area. So that is where, so they're already past that. They're past the Milwaukee Art Museum. Their next leg was to the Oak Leaf Trail. So that is a multi-use trail system. It's got over 135 miles of trail for cycling, of course, rollerblading, walking, watching birds, running around Milwaukee County. So that's going to kind of kick off the path north on the way to Titletown. And again, we want to talk about the draft wants to highlight Wisconsin's biking nature. The tourism secretary this morning talked a little bit about how 35% of Wisconsinites are avid bikers. And that's something to promote and be really proud of. And so this Oak Leaf Trail, it was created to promote biking as an alternative to precious gasoline during wartime. Back in the 1960s, riders built that and built upon it. So that's a really cool, again, deep dive into our history here as they make their way north. So now they are starting that long trek north along the lakeshore. So the first couple of stops were about 3 miles, 5 miles. Well, this next one that they're on right now is almost 80 miles as they're heading up the lakeshore. And so we're kind of following that. They're expected to arrive around 3:50, so we'll bring that to you and check back in with you then. But they are starting their long trek north, again, about 80 miles. So we'll let you know where they head, where they're going once they get there, and bring that to you. But again, it's all on the path to Lambeau Field, and we know that they're already hoping that plenty of fans and kids with their bikes are there to greet them when they get to Titletown. And they're inviting fans to be down there with their green and gold on, with their bikes. This is a massive tradition. It started in 1958, the long-standing training camp tradition of kids with their bikes escorting players to the practice field. Well, now it's going to kind of be a little bit more in reverse. So they're asking kids and families to be there around 6 o'clock, and then they'll make their way all the way to Lambeau Field's atrium for the unveiling of the clock, because now we officially are on the clock for the countdown to next year's NFL draft, hosted right here in Titletown. So we'll continue to bring you more throughout the night as we continue to follow that football as it makes its way safely through Wisconsin's trails all the way here to the frozen tundra. Again, that total mileage that we're looking at that they're biking this afternoon is about 140 miles, so quite the hike. I'm sure they are well on their way. They've got their water and stuff, but we'll be kind of following along. Again, they are right now already have left that Oak Leaf Trail heading north along the lakeshore. So we'll continue to follow and tell you exactly where they land for their next little pit stop to refuel, take some pictures, maybe do a few interviews with the media, and we'll follow along with that. So that is your afternoon update on the pedal to the draft, that hashtag. And then we have all of our content really easily accessible right on our website. So let me show you that. Here's our website, WBAY.com. If you look at the top here, it's got news, watch live, weather. There you have it, the 2025 NFL Draft. So all of our stories, timelines, here you go. That ceremonial football handoff that I brought you earlier in this mini newscast. And then you've got all of our stories talking to the bicyclists. And you'll be able to follow along and find it all right there, right on our website, WBAY.com/draft. So I'll have all that for you. So until then, we will let you go and we'll check back in a little bit.